She looked terrified, not the kind of fear born from horror films or storms. No, this was a fear that came from the world itself, from expectations, from the eyes of 1,000 strangers, and perhaps from the one she had trusted the most. Kim Go never wanted to be the center of attention. She preferred quiet corners, hushed conversations, moments that didn't demand her perform, to act, to smile on command. But sometimes life had a cruel way of dragging her into the spotlight, and sometimes it didn't care how fragile she felt. And that was when he appeared. Lee Min-ho, not just any man, not just a co-star, but someone who had quietly, steadily, become the constant in her stormy life. He had watched her struggle in silence, seen the weight on her shoulders that no one else seemed to notice. And when the world threatened to overwhelm her, he didn't hesitate. He moved, swiftly, purposefully, and before anyone could react, before the cameras, before the whispers, he pulled her close. It wasn't dramatic in the way the media would later describe. It wasn't a moment staged for headlines or likes. It was instinct, a shield, a simple act of protection that said, "I see you. I've got you. You're not alone." Her body stiffened at first, her heart racing like it had never raced before. She wanted to pull away, to retreat to the safety of distance. But his warmth, his presence, was magnetic, and as she breathed in, as the chaos of the world faded around them, she realized something profound. He didn't pull her close because he had to. He pulled her close because he chose to. Every second he held her, he whispered a silent promise that words could never capture. The cameras flashed, the murmurs started, but it didn't matter. They weren't performing. They weren't acting. They were alive, and in that aliveness, their heart spoke louder than the chaos surrounding them. It all started earlier that day, though she would never admit it. The tension had been building, subtle, almost invisible to others. But every glance, every word, every brush of hands had carried the weight of unspoken emotion. She had felt it, the way he watched her, the way he leaned just a fraction closer during rehearsals, the way his laughter always seemed to reach her first, even when the room was full of people. But fear was a constant companion. Fear of exposure, fear of scandal, fear of her own feelings. And then it happened, a moment of crisis. Small, almost trivial to the outside world, but monumental to her. A misstep, a stumble, the kind that made her world tilt. And for one terrifying second, she thought she would fall. That's when he moved. His hands were there before she could process the movement. His arms a shield, his presence a barrier against everything that threatened her. And the look in his eyes, steady, unwavering, was enough to silence every doubt, every fear, every whispered insecurity. For the people watching, it was dramatic. For the fans scrolling through their phones, it was explosive. The clip, he pulled her close. Are they together? Headlines were written before the reality had fully settled. But the truth wasn't for the cameras. It wasn't for the world. It was a moment suspended in time, where only the two of them existed. She felt the rapid beat of her own heart, matching his rhythm without conscious effort. She felt the warmth of his body, the protective curve of his arm around her shoulders. And she felt something else. Something she had fought to ignore for months. The undeniable pull of her own heart toward his. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His actions, simple yet profound, spoke in a language that words could never translate. And in that silence, she found her own voice, a small, fragile whisper of trust, of surrender, of the realization that perhaps, with him, fear could coexist with safety. Chaos could coexist with love. The world around them continued. Cameras clicked. Voices whispered. People gasped. But neither of them noticed, because for that moment, all that existed was a quiet certainty between two hearts. A quiet understanding that neither scripts, nor schedules, nor expectations could ever define. After a few long seconds, he released her gently, not abruptly, not carelessly, but in a way that made it clear he would always be there, to catch her whenever the world tried to let her fall. She stepped back slightly, her eyes meeting his, and in that gaze, she saw something extraordinary, the reflection of her own courage mirrored in his unwavering resolve. The media would later dissect it, analyze it, and exaggerate it. Fans would speculate endlessly about their relationship. Rumors would fly. Questions would be asked. But none of that mattered, because some truths exist beyond words, beyond speculation, beyond the world's expectations. And the truth between Lee Min-ho and Kim Go-eun was carved into a single unforgettable moment. Fear met protection. Uncertainty met courage. And hearts met in a way that couldn't be undone. In the following days, the incident became a viral sensation. Every social media platform exploded with clips and GIFs. Did you see how he held her? She's smiling now. Maybe she finally trusts him. Love like this is rare. Fans dissected every nuance of body language, every glance, every touch. But those who truly understood knew something deeper. It wasn't a stunt. It wasn't acting. It was real. Lee Min-ho didn't need recognition. He didn't need accolades or applause. He simply needed her to be safe, to know that she wasn't alone in facing the world's scrutiny. And for Kim Go-eun, that one gesture changed everything. It was a revelation that love wasn't always dramatic. It wasn't always announced or written in headlines. Sometimes it was quiet, protective, enduring. Sometimes it was in the simplest act of pulling someone close, when the world seemed poised to pull them apart. The ripple effect was undeniable. Even co-stars began noticing subtle changes. Small gestures, quick smiles, the ease of laughter shared between them. Something intangible had shifted, a new energy on set, a warmth that hadn't existed before. Fans, of course, noticed too. Every post became fuel for speculation. Every paparazzi shot dissected. Every interview analyzed. But despite all the attention, the core of their connection remained sacred, untouchable by the chaos of the world. Months passed. Time didn't dilute the memory. It strengthened it, because moments like these don't fade. They embed themselves into hearts, into the rhythm of life shared between two people. And slowly, the world began to accept it. Not the rumors, not the gossip, not the viral clips, but the quiet truth. Two people genuinely, irrevocably connected by something deeper than fame, deeper than circumstance, something that could withstand the scrutiny of a million eyes. Even now, years later, fans replay that clip endlessly, analyzing the tilt of a head, the grip of a hand, the subtle trust that radiates from two hearts that beat in sync. And for those who understand, it's more than just a moment of vulnerability.